All right, let's talk about one of the coolest long-term wealth strategies out there. I'm talking about building a real, actual passive income stream. And we're going to do it using something called the dividend snowball effect. So let me just ask you this. What if your income could just grow on its own? I mean, really grow without you having to time the market or take these huge, scary risks. Imagine a system where your money just starts making more money for you, building this cycle that gets stronger and stronger all by itself. I mean, let's be real for a second. Building wealth is hard. The market is all over the place, right? It's up one day, down the next, and that kind of volatility, well, it's pretty intimidating. It's totally understandable why so many of us just kind of stay on the sidelines, not really sure how to even jump in. But here's the thing. What if the secret isn't about being super active in trading all the time? What if it's about being patient? Warren Buffett totally nailed it with this quote. He basically said, the stock market is designed to move money from the active people to the patient ones. It's not about the constant hustle. It's all about playing the long game. And that long game, that solution, it's a really elegant, kind of beautiful idea called the dividend snowball effect. And that's exactly what we're going to break down right now. So what exactly is this thing? Well, picture a tiny snowball at the top of a very big, snowy hill. That's your initial investment. Now, when a company you own pays you a dividend, instead of just pocketing the cash, you use it to automatically buy more shares. That adds a little more snow to your snowball. Then, those new shares start earning their own dividends, adding even more snow. And the cycle just keeps repeating, getting bigger and faster and more powerful as it rolls down that hill. Okay, so how do you make this happen automatically? It's actually super simple. It's called a Dividend Reinvestment Plan, or DRIP for short. Pretty much every broker out there offers this. You just flip a switch and it becomes the engine that keeps your snowball growing all on its own. You literally don't have to lift a finger. Okay, get ready for this, because this is where it gets absolutely nuts. Just look at this data from the S&P 500, going way back. If you just held on and didn't reinvest your dividends, you'd get about a 4.3% annual growth rate. Not bad, right? But if you turned on that drip and reinvested, whoa, the rate more than doubles to over 9%. And the final number, I mean, it's not even in the same universe. This shows you one of the biggest secrets of wealth building. A massive chunk of the stock market's total return over time comes from those little dividends being put right back to work. And maybe the best part of all, this income stream is tough as nails. Look at these charts. They show some of the ugliest market crashes in modern history. You see the stock prices, just chaos, right? Total free fall. But now, look at that black line. Those are the dividend payments. See how stable they are? They just keep chugging along almost like nothing's happening. That's why your snowball doesn't just melt during a market blizzard. It keeps on rolling. Okay, but that stability is only as good as the companies paying those dividends, right? They have to be strong enough to keep the cash flowing no matter what. Which brings us to a really important point. We need a safety check. It's so tempting. You see a stock with a crazy high dividend yield, like 10% or 15%, and you think you've hit the jackpot. But a lot of the time, that's a huge red flag. It's what smart investors call a yield trap. So the big question is, how do you know if it's a real gem or a trap that's about to snap shut and cut its dividend? Well, the answer is actually in one key number, the dividend payout ratio. All this does is tell you what slice of a company's profit pie is being handed out as dividends. And believe me, this number is your single most important tool for checking dividend safety. And the best part is, you don't need to be a math whiz to figure this out. It's simple. Let's look at a company like Caterpillar. You just find out how much they paid in dividends, and you find their total profit, or net income. Then you just divide dividends by income. Boom, done. In this case, Caterpillar paid out less than a quarter of its earnings. That means they have this huge cushion of cash left over to grow the business and handle any bumps in the road. So what's the magic number to look for? Well, a good rule of thumb is anything under 70% is generally pretty healthy. It's sustainable. But if you see a company paying out more than, say, 90% of its profits, yeah, that's when the alarm bells should be going off. They have basically zero wiggle room. If profits take even a small hit, that dividend is probably the first thing to get cut. All right, so you've found some companies with safe, sustainable dividends. Awesome. Now, how do you really keep score? How do you track your own personal success over the long haul? Forget the daily stock ticker you see on TV. There's a much better metric, one that's way more personal and honestly way more powerful. So you've probably heard of dividend yield, right? That's the one everyone talks about. It just compares the dividend to today's stock price. But for us, for long-term investors, the real scoreboard is something called yield on cost. Instead of the current price, it measures the dividend against the price you actually paid for the stock. Think about that. The regular dividend yield is bouncing around all day, every day. But your yield on cost, it only moves in one direction, up, and only when the company increases its dividend. It's like getting a personal raise. And this, right here, is where the magic really happens. You buy a great company, you hold on, and they keep raising that dividend year after year. Suddenly, your yield on cost, the return you're getting on your original money, could be 10%, 20%. I mean, I've seen it even higher. It shows you the true, incredible power of your initial decision to invest in that great company all those years ago. Okay, so we've got the big idea, we know how to check for safety, and we know how to keep score. Now it's time for the fun part. How do you actually get started and build your own dividend snowball? You know, a great place to start looking is this elite club called the Dividend Aristocrats. To get in, a company has to have increased its dividend every single year for at least 25 years straight. Think about that. Through recessions, crashes, everything. We're talking about household names, giants like Coca-Cola, Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson. A track record like that just screams financial strength and a serious promise to its shareholders. Now look, maybe picking individual stocks sounds like a lot of work, and that's totally fair. If that's you, there is an even simpler way to get in the game. You can look at dividend ETFs. These are exchange-traded funds, and they're awesome because you can buy one thing and instantly own a whole bunch, dozens, sometimes hundreds, of different dividend-paying companies all at once. And here are just a few popular ones you can check out. You've got funds like SCHD, which really focuses on high-quality companies that are financially solid. Then there's VIG, which is all about companies that have a proven history of growing their dividends. They're all great, super low-cost ways to get diversified and start building that snowball engine right from the get-go. So as you start on this path, I just want you to remember that one key word we talked about at the beginning: patience. Seriously. Your snowball will start out tiny. Your first few dividend reinvestments, they might buy you like a fraction of a share. And that is perfectly okay. It's supposed to be slow at first. But with every single payment, every single quarter, that snowball gets a little bit bigger and it starts to roll just a little bit faster. You just have to let it do its thing. So really, it all starts with that first dividend payment, no matter how small it feels. It might not seem like a big deal today, but when you put it back to work, you're not just earning a few cents. You're firing up a compounding machine, a machine that, with time and patience, can grow into something that gives you real freedom. So the only question left is, how big are you going to let your snowball get?